This is the Content Marketing Podcast. Episode number 168 is Account-Based Marketing, the Future of B2B? Hello and welcome to the Content Marketing Podcast. This is the show where we help you attract and retain business through the power of quality content. I'm your host, Rachel Parker of Resonance Content Marketing, and today is March 31st, 2016. Hello, or as we say in Texas, howdy, and thank you for joining us for today's episode of the Content Marketing Podcast. Just a reminder, this podcast is available on iTunes and Stitcher and SoundCloud, so if you like what you hear, please feel free to click on over and subscribe so you can get every single episode delivered directly to your happy little ears. I also invite you to download our brand new ebook. It's called Ninja Secrets of B2B Blogging. You can get your very own copy at b2bbloggingebook.com. There's the numeral 2 in B2B. Last week, we continued our month-long discussion on demand generation. Specifically, we talked about how to fuel your demand gen efforts with email autoresponder series. If you happen to miss that episode, feel free to check it out on iTunes or Stitcher or SoundCloud or via the RSS feed. Today, we're wrapping up our lead gen discussion with a chat about the latest trend, account-based marketing, also known as ABM, and why this just might be the future of B2B marketing. But first, it's time to check in with our news feed for this week's rundown of news you can use. Before we get started with our newsfeed, I do want to remind you that today is not only the last day of the month, but also the last day of the first quarter. So that means it's time to look back at the results you've been getting for these first 3 months of 2016 and see about making some adjustments. Okay, on to the news. As you know, video is now the most popular activity on Facebook, and Facebook is giving brands what they have been asking for, which is more detailed video analytics. If you go to your Facebook Insights and go to the video section, you will now see daily breakdowns available. You will see from day to day the minutes viewed, the total number of views, and the number of 10-second views. So what that's going to let us do, it'll let us microanalyze the performance of our videos, not only as a whole, but also from day to day. And that lets us pick up on trends and make any needed adjustments to our strategies. If you would like some more information about this new capability, number one, you can just go to your Facebook Insights and see it right there. But there is also an article from Facebook that I will share with you in the blog post for this episode. Okay, some news out of Google, not to be outdone by apps like Periscope and Facebook Live. Google is reportedly, this is not official yet, but reportedly jumping into the live video streaming game with an app called YouTube Connect, which will soon be available for both iOS and Android devices. Now, this is from what I understand via an article on VentureBeat. They apparently got it on the down low from an inside source within Google, but apparently the app will work very much like Periscope and Facebook Live. It will include chat, tagging features, and also a news feed of live videos from people you follow. No word yet on when it will be available or even when Google will plan on announcing it. Now, does anybody else think this is weird? This just is so odd to me because YouTube has been forever the 800-pound gorilla in online video, but it's been over a year since Meerkat came on the scene and made live streaming video a prominent, made it a thing, as the kids like to say. And here Google is 1 year later coming up with a mobile app for live streaming video. It's just bizarre to me because Google Hangouts have been around, 4 or 5 years now, and they're now just getting into this mobile app for live video stream. It just strikes me as odd, and it really makes me wonder what's going on over at Google. Anyway, I will provide the link to this VentureBeat article in the blog post for this episode if you would like to read more about it. Okay, our content hit of the week is another post from the Content Marketing Institute site, and it's called How to Measure Engagement the Right Way, written by Andrew Rasso. And Andrew brings up an interesting point. We throw around the word engagement as if it actually means something, right? It's like, I can just put myself in that meeting with the CMO. It's like, oh, we're not getting any business. Well, it's okay, Chief. We're getting tons of engagement. But he advised us to take a step back and say, what does this really mean? What do we mean when we talk about engagement? And depending on how we define it, does it actually do us any good? Do those Facebook likes or those Twitter favorites, do those actually do us any good? So what Andrew does in this article is he looks at engagement, quote unquote engagement, however we define it, and he looks at it compared to three related metrics, and that is reach, time on page, and shares. And then he goes on to tell us what we're doing wrong and how to correct it so that we're actually tracking something that is valuable to know, and that really gives us an idea of what amount of good this content is doing for us. It's a terrific post, highly recommended, and I will of course provide the link in the post for this episode. Again, the title is How to Measure Engagement the Right Way by Andrew Rasso on the Content Marketing Institute site. Okay, that's it for this week's update. If you stumble across something you think might be of interest to your fellow content marketers, please tweet it to me at Resonance CONT, that's Resonance Content with the ENT lopped off, so that we can share. Now it's time for this week's Spotlight segment. Is account-based marketing the future of B2B? Now, all month long, we've been talking about demand generation, what it is, why it's important, and of course, how it fits in with our world as content marketers. And today I want to talk about the latest buzzword in demand generation. It's account-based marketing, also known as ABM. So if you want to sound hip and cool, you can start throwing that acronym around your circles. And it was definitely one of the prominent topics at a conference I attended last month, the B2B C2C conference. And it's getting a lot of, in the old print days, we used to say it's getting a lot of ink. What do we say now? It's getting a lot of bites? Anyway, a lot of people are talking about this, especially in demand gen circles. And, in looking at what ABM really is, it's another one of those things that is presented as a new concept, or at least a new name, but the practice itself has been around for a long time. So let me get into exactly what ABM is. According to Wikipedia, account-based marketing is a strategic approach to business marketing in which an organization considers and communicates with individual prospect or customer accounts as markets of one. And that markets of one is the key feature here. So, it's from the B2B side, we are targeting specific accounts as its own market. Now, our brethren over on the sales side, of course, look at this and say, duh, that's how B2B works, guys. Man, you marketing types aren't real smart, are you? Not real quick on the uptake. But, that's how salespeople approach their work. The director of sales says, hey, we want to go after Coca-Cola. And then everybody scours their contact lists and their alumni list and figures out who they know over there and then pursues Coca-Cola as a single market. But the difference is that approach is now trickling upward to the marketing side. And for our perspectives as marketers, it represents a trend moving away from mass marketing towards a much more targeted approach, especially for B2B companies. So let's say, for example, you're a B2B company and you have set your sights on acquiring IBM as a client. Well, IBM then becomes that market of one that we talked about. Now, again, on the sales side, this is just how things are done, right? You set your sights on a specific company, you set your sales force in motion, and as we say in Texas, tag 'em and bag 'em, right? The difference today is that account-based marketing is no longer the exclusive territory of the sales team. Advances in marketing technology are now allowing marketing teams to join in that ABM framework before the prospect even gets to that sales conversation phase, before they're even ready to accept a phone call. And I want to go through some of the tactics that are tied into this new not new ABM framework. For example, content targeting. So if you are active on LinkedIn, and if you are a B2B company, you must be active on LinkedIn. If you've used the promoted posts feature, you'll notice that LinkedIn now allows you to target your promoted posts to specific companies and also to specific job titles. So again, getting back to that IBM example, if you produce a blog post, say, that is laser targeted to the needs of the people you are looking to talk to over at IBM, you can actually promote that post and specify, we want this to appear to people who work at IBM. Very, very specific targeting. Another thing we can do is email targeting. Now, this is the easiest tactic, right? If you're targeting IBM, you pull up your email list, however large it is. You do a search for anyone with at IBM in their email address, save them to a smart list, and then create campaigns just for them. Again, the technology we use allows us to do this. And then the coolest thing, I think, is that now we can offer a personalized website experience. So technology is now available to, when someone comes to your website, we can, not we, definitely not me, but we have technology that can check the IP address of someone coming to your website and actually deliver a personalized landing page that features custom copy, custom images, custom offers, maybe forms, depending on the person or the account that is visiting the landing page. And there are actually firms that specialize in creating those solutions for us. So those are just a few of the tactics that are available to us on the marketing side to bring that account-based marketing further up in the funnel. So by now, hopefully that gives you an idea of how ABM works from a marketing perspective and why it's valuable, right? I mean, why spray and pray to attract a bunch of leads that might not mean anything when you can home in on the accounts you really want? Now, we do still need to do our mass marketing. We need to bring in those new prospects. We might not know our prospects, but hey, if we want to tag and bag IBM, by gum, we've got the capabilities to do it. And again, technology is allowing us to target that way in a way that was never possible before. So how do we get started? The first thing we need to do and when I say we, I mean your marketing team. Number one, create a list of target accounts. And this is probably going to involve some collaboration with your sales team. Remember, it's a big marketing sales love fest these days, so we're all going to get along. And start with maybe 5 companies that you really, really, really want to target in your in your ABM strategy. So get that list together. Start small, maybe 5 companies, and then as you get the hang of it, you can of course grow that list as you go along. The second thing we need to do is do our homework. So again, going back to the IBM example, do a very targeted company-specific search on LinkedIn and find out which employees fit your specific target. So let's say if your company sells accounting software and you want to target IBM, you can do a search on IBM, a search on LinkedIn, search for people who work at IBM who are accounting managers or who have the job title, the specific job title of the person you want to talk to. And then you can actually snoop around on these folks' public profiles and find out a little bit more about them so that you can go on to step 3, which is create content that resonates with this target audience. So as you find out who are the people within this company who are your target audience, look around their profiles, find out, you can find out where they went to school, you can find out positions they've held in the company before, you can find out specific job responsibilities that they have right now. Really, those profiles are a treasure trove of information about these people. And so what you can then do is take that information and get your team together and brainstorm some content topics that would be of very focused interest to these individuals. Maybe, for example, there's something going on within the company or within the industry that would interest them right here, right now. To give you an example, as you may know, I live here in Houston, Texas, and a lot of oil and gas companies are going through some very hard times because there's been a big downturn in the industry. Well, what I did actually last week was I created a blog post on how oil and gas companies can keep their marketing going during this time of very lean budgets and downsized teams. It's what's on their minds right now, and it's gotten a lot of very positive response from my contacts in that industry. Another thing you might want to consider would be seasonal targeting. If, say, you are targeting you want to sell your solution to hotels, well, summer vacation season is right around the corner, and there might be some very specific challenges around getting ready for that you could help those target audience folks with. So we've got our audience. We know a lot about them. We're creating some content that resonates with them. And then step 4 is to use those targeting tools that we talked about, that email targeting, those personalized landing pages, those targeted promoted posts on LinkedIn, because that's going to help you get that content into the hands of the people at your target account. Again, we're talking further up on the funnel here. So we're not trying to get them to sign on the dotted line just yet. We want to get them into our funnel and get them into our system and start a conversation with these folks. And of course, the final step, as it is with just about any initiative, is we need to measure our results. Anything we do in content marketing, we've got to know how we're doing. And account-based marketing is no exceptions. Did those emails get opened and read? Did people click through to that blog post that we promoted on LinkedIn? Did they download that white paper? Did they sign up for that webinar? And by looking at the results of what we've done, we can then fine-tune our efforts to improve how we approach and engage with these folks in the future. And then, of course, best case scenario, we get lots and lots of people, very good qualified prospects towards the top of that funnel that can then trickle down to our sales associates so that they can start a sales conversation. So that is a very high level, very general view of account-based marketing as it touches on our work as content marketers. As I mentioned, this is a topic that is getting a whole lot of buzz out there on the web, and if it sounds like something that interests you, that you think would be of value to your team, I invite you to go a little more in depth and do some research. Do a quick Google search on account-based marketing and see what comes up. You will find a lot of really good information out there. And of course, if you have any specific questions, please feel free to shoot me a tweet at Resonance, C-O-N-T, Resonance Content with the E-N-T lopped off. Now it's time for our content marketing tip of the week. As I mentioned in our conversation about ABM a couple of seconds ago, we have better capabilities than ever before to personalize our messages. And personalization is great. We know that it works. We have the technology to do it, and we can do it with unprecedented levels of accuracy. However, caveat emptor, we also want to stop short of being creepy. Okay, and there is a fine line between successful personalization and creepiness. And it's really a challenge that we have to be aware of, because people are very conscious of the Big Brother aspect of the web. And if you get a little too personal in customizing that message, it could backfire on you. For example, if I were to go to a website and see, hi, Rachel, how's life at Resonance today, or something like that, I would see that as, that's interesting, that's cool. As a marketer, I would say, I wonder how they did that. That's very interesting. However, if I went to a landing page and said, hi, Rachel, how's your husband, Mike, and your 3 dogs, Sophie, Hermione, and Cooter today? Oh, I see you attended the last week's American Marketing Association luncheon, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I would be very creeped out, and I would probably quietly back away from the keyboard, and then I would probably delete my entire browser history and every cookie in my system. And this is, of course, it's a facetious example, but I think you see my point. Okay, we need to personalize by all means, but we need to steer clear of the creep factor. And if you're just not sure, a little testing never hurts. Okay, campers, that is it for me today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Content Marketing Podcast. If you like what you've heard, please feel free to subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher or via our RSS feed, also on SoundCloud. And if you really like what you've heard, please leave us a quick review on iTunes. I would so appreciate it. Also, don't forget to grab your free copy of our latest ebook, Ninja Secrets of B2B Blogging, at b2bbloggingebook.com. As always, I like to leave you with a quote, and today I have another gem from advertising legend David Ogilvy. Now, I know I quoted him in last week's episode, but this one came up in my research about today's topic, and it was just too good. David Ogilvy once said, quote, "Don't count the people you reach. Reach the people who count," unquote. See, ABM is nothing new. Again, this is Rachel Parker with Resonance Content Marketing. Thank you again for listening, and we will see you again next week. Take care.